Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. What is your "we will never speak of this again" moment? My high school girlfriend asked if she could mail some sexy underwear/kink stuff to my house because she couldn't pass off getting mail when her parents collected. Fine with my family is very serious about privacy. However, my neighbor wasn't. And the mailman delivered it to her house. She opened it not realizing it was addressed to my house. She panicked, not knowing what to do, and brought it to my house. I wasn't home, so my older sister collected it and left it on my bed. When I returned home, all my sister said was, "There's a package on your bed and we're never speaking of this again." I found it hysterical. My girlfriend was mortified. My divorced dad was playing horseshoes in a league with my aunt, mom's sister. They went together one night when I was about 16. I went to a friend's house to sleep over and didn't think any more of it. Until I got home the next morning and her car was still in the driveway. Innocent and stupid me went into the house expecting my aunt to maybe be crashed on the couch or something. Then I heard a shower running and thought, weird, maybe she's taking a shower before she leaves. Then I heard my dad's laugh coming from the bathroom with my aunt laughing too. I tiptoed out of the house and went right back to my friend's house completely flabbergasted by what I just walked in on. Edit. Thanks for the gold. I'll be sure to pass the good news on to my dad. And now your dad is reading this and is like, oh shit. I follow a bunch of weird blogs tags on Tumblr and was scrolling through my feed. I would usually alt tab in 0.1 seconds if I was fapping or whatever, but since I wasn't looking at any porn, I didn't bother to hide what I was doing. Kept scrolling. Then turned round, whilst still scrolling, to see my mum come in my room to put some laundry on a cabinet. Unbeknownst to me, right as she came in the room, on my screen was a huge picture of an erect horse dong. I have no idea why it was on the blog, since it was not a blog for horse coke or horse balls, and I did not intentionally look for horse coke or horse balls. But it was right there, in the middle of the screen. If you looked in my direction, there's no way you didn't see horse coke. I don't know if she was looking since she was only in for a second and we didn't really chat or whatever, but I am assuming my mum saw me looking at horse coke and thinks I like horse cokes. I don't like horse cokes, but there's never gonna be an opportunity for me to weasel my way out of that situation. When I was 8 years old, I went swimming with my brother and his girlfriend at my grandparents' house. Our house wasn't far, so we just walked back in our swimsuits. Once we got back to the house, I was told to shower and wait for them in the living room until they've showered. So my brother and his girlfriend went down into our basement where my brother's room was, and I went into the upstairs bathroom to shower. I realized I didn't have a towel and started to make my way to my mother's bathroom for a towel. That is when I noticed a cucumber sitting on the counter. Bear with me here, this is where it gets odd. I took the cucumber and went downstairs. As I approached my brother's bedroom door, I shoved the cucumber in my swimming trunks. I was just imagining the hilarity that would come after I showed them my goofy trick. So I swing the door open in complete confidence, and the first thing I see is my brother tearing off his girlfriend's bikini top with his mouth. The cucumber hit the floor as well as my jaw. There they were. The first breasts I'd ever laid eyes on. Suddenly I made eye contact with my brother's girlfriend and then with my brother. I looked down and saw the cucumber at my feet and said, "I wanted you to think the cucumber was my wiener as a joke." I picked up the cucumber, turned and shut the door behind me. My brother and his girlfriend are now married and have been together for 12 years. We've never spoken of that event again. You should get them a cucumber with a nice red ribbon on it for their 20th anniversary. Farted very loud with rumbling at my grandmother's funeral during her sister's eulogy speech. I was 17. Holy shit. This and the username together make it seem like you live one hell of a life. I had internal bleeding and really low blood pressure. I was in the hospital and instructed to not try to stand or walk since I'd faint. I didn't obey that. I went to take a piss and my girlfriend saw and chased after me. She caught up just in time to throw herself between me and the floor to prevent me from cracking my head open as I fell back unconscious. Dong out. Peeing all over everything on the way down. I awoke with her sandwiched between me and the tile floors. lying in a pool of my piss. And that's actually the moment I realized I should marry that girl. I did. But that's not the story I tell when someone asked, when did you know she was the one? Not gonna lie, that's the perfect story for I knew she was the one. Yeah, that's a story for the wedding if ever I've heard one. One faithful night when I was around 12. I woke up and for some reason I was sure I was hella late for school. I threw on some clothes and walked into the kitchen. Still half asleep. What I saw in the kitchen was utterly confusing. My dad was standing there, dong out, chugging milk straight from the carton like a madman. I looked at him, but was too tired to be shocked. He on the other hand looked like he had been caught chugging milk by the ghost of Hitler. Then I looked up at the clock. It was 4 AM. I really didn't understand anything except that I could sleep more at this point. So without a word I just turned around slowly and went back to bed. The look on his face still haunts me. Edit. I forgot to mention that he never put the carton down. He just stared at me in shock. Milk to mouth. Until I left. For all I know he stood there chugging milk with his dong out all night. I meant fateful. But at this point I'm just going with it. Holy nights are for chugging milk with dong out. Edit. Obligatory thank you for the silver and the gold. Colon. Me and one of my friends were hanging out when we were probably 10 or 11. We went behind an elementary school on the weekend to play and ended up going behind a dumpster and getting naked and looking at each other. We never hung out again, and every time we saw each other throughout high school it was a little weird. Oh no. I just had a flashback to something I haven't thought of in years. When I was maybe 6 or 7 I had a female friend over and we went up to my room to play. My dad was downstairs. We decide what better thing to do than get naked and go in my closet. No real reason. And nothing sexual. Just curiosity I suppose. But of course my dad comes to check on us. He opened the closet door. Saw us. And immediately closed it again and left. Never to be spoken of again. I was about 15. Definitely old enough to know better. I was putting spiders and ice cubes on the super hot wood stove because the Leidenfrost effect was interesting. I thought it would be funny to do it with piss. It was not funny to do it with piss. For the uninitiated, what happens is the piss vaporizes and depending on the volume of your bladder, produces a thick and clearly visible dark brown cloud. If you can imagine the smog line in LA, it looks like that. That cloud hugs the ceiling and hangs down about a foot. It doesn't really move because it's water vapor and it leaves a film on everything it touches. It smells like, well, like burnt piss. And you can also taste it. The cloud absolutely does not dissipate before your mother gets home from work. I was sort of a naughty kid anyhow. So she thought I had started a fire with something. In order to avoid a worse punishment I had to take dumb responsibility. That was the only time I can remember her looking at me with actual hatred. I don't recall ever learning about the Leidenfrost effect. So I just looked that up and it's really cool. Totally explains why you would play with ice cubes on a wood stove. But what's up with the spiders? Spiders and ice cubes. Right. Classic combo. A friend accidentally sent me a pic of his junk on Snapchat that was clearly meant for someone else. He excused himself 100 times. He has a huge ducking dong though. Accidentally, degrees. I accidentally sent a snap of myself holding my hand over my junk to my then girlfriend's best friend. I immediately called my GF and told her what just happened while writing sorry that was not for you to the friend. We all laughed about it and I thought we agreed on not talking about it. I was wrong. All her friends know about it. Saw my friend's mom topless by accident. We don't talk about it. Was weird going to his house the next day. Could not make eye contact with her after that. Haha. This kinda happened to me once. I was at my brother's girlfriend's house waiting for them to get back. While waiting I needed to go to the bathroom. Lo and behold, girlfriend's mom walks out in only her underwear and screams, "When did you get here?" I then ran back to the living room and just sat staring blankly at the TV till my bro got back. This is my friend's story. She smoked weed a bit in high school but obviously hid it from her parents. This one time she came downstairs in the morning to find a joint sitting on the kitchen counter. She knew for sure it wasn't hers and that she wouldn't be stupid enough to leave one out like that. Her mother soon after walked downstairs and started cleaning up around the kitchen. When she ran into the joint, she paused, locked eyes for a bit with my friend, said "oh" and quickly brushed it into her hand and got rid of it. They both pretended it never happened. So the mother smoked? She thinks her mom was covering for her dad. Later on she once found a bong in his closet. She always wanted to smoke with him after that but didn't know how to bring it up. Hence they never talked about it again. When I was a teenager, my best friend was over and we were drinking. I was probably 14-15. My mom had just recently found out my stepdad cheated on her and they got into a huge fight that night and he stormed off and left. My friend went out to our loft on the second floor and came running back into my room and said, "Chubby bunny, your mom is trying to kill herself." I drunkenly ran out of my room and saw a curtain tied around the banister of the loft, and my mom roping it around her neck on the floor below while standing on a chair. I ran downstairs, grabbed a knife, held it to my stomach and was screaming, sobbing that if she killed herself, I'd kill myself too. And I meant it too. I was prepared to stab myself in that moment. That was the only thing that made sense as an intoxicated teen at the time. The only way to get my mom to not hurt herself. She got down from the chair, grabbed the knife from me, and we both sobbed together. She then had an inpatient stay for a few days after that. We've not spoken about it since. Edit. I've minimized and blocked this story out of my brain pretty much since it's happened. And now that I'm seeing reactions to it, I realize this is something that shouldn't be minimized and I should probably deal with. My mom and I live states away from each other, and this unfortunately is just a blip within the issues that have compounded since then. She refuses to step foot in a therapist's office, not for lack of me trying to get her there, and refuses to acknowledge her mental health is an issue. Because of these reasons, it's not really an option for me to revisit this with her, and would very likely do more harm to her than good. But I know I should address this in therapy for myself. For those who have had similar experiences, thank you for sharing your stories. You are all incredibly strong and so brave, and I'm sending all my love to you. I'm really sorry for that. Hope your mom is doing better. Thank you all for the supportive comments. After the incident, I've never spoken about that night with anyone other than my husband. It's both devastating and a relief to tell that story. My mom has gotten some help but unfortunately, not what she needs and still struggles with anxiety, depression, and alcohol abuse. I appreciate the kind humans you are. Thanks again for your comments. Matched with my cousin on Tinder. I was like, wow, she is ho. Oh my god, that's my cousin. While swiping, it all happened so fast. Same thing must have happened to her because we matched. I just messaged her and said we never speak of this. Agreed? And she said agreed. And we've never spoken about it. Things are weird around the holidays. We just kinda make eye contact and then one of us finds a reason to leave the room immediately to go and talk to other family members who we have not matched with on Tinder. You idiot, you cold ducked your hot cousin. Was having quite rough sex with my ex-girlfriend and we thought we were home alone. So she decided that she'd scream the house down with her moaning. Screams "duck me daddy" really loudly, and when we finish about 10 minutes later, we go to the bathroom to clean up. Bump into her then 14-year-old brother on the landing and make direct eye contact with him. He just looks at me oddly and grimaces at his older sister. I still cringe to this day. Dominance asserted. My sister and I thought we had a moment like this, but we spoke of it years later and we both had a misunderstanding all along. I grew up with two sisters, I was the youngest. Then there were 2 years between each of my older sisters. My middle sister and I were closer to each other than we were to the older one. One time when I was about 15, my mom found a used condom in the trash. Since my oldest sister was living away at college at the time, we figured it wasn't hers. So my sister and her boyfriend, who thought she was being a good sibling, thought it was mine and took the blame for it. Don't think she got in much trouble, but she thought she was doing me a favor. It was actually not mine. And I assumed that since she accepted blame for it, then it was her. Nothing more happened. Years later, I was out with my sister and her boyfriend, same one from high school. And she jokingly made a comment trying to get me to do her a favor. Like it's the least you could do after I took the blame for that condom for you that one time. I was so confused and had no idea what she was talking about till she explained the event and we realized the years-long unspoken event. I guess it must have been my sister who'd been home from college in secret for a while. There was no husband for my mom at the time. So no cheating allegations. We had a good laugh for the rest of the night. I still think it's funny that we both interpreted the event in such different ways for so long. Well, me and the wife were out on the lake fishing, when all of a sudden I felt the rumbling in my gut. I was about to shit my pants. I looked around and noticed we were nowhere near a dock and there was nobody else on the water. So I looked my wife in the eye and told her I was sorry and loved her very much. I then proceeded to hang my ass over the side of the boat and had the Hershey squirts. It was over quite quickly, thankfully. My wife passed me a few old receipts from her purse so I could wipe. She told me she still loved me and we kept on fishing. Edit. I'd like to clarify that we did indeed move to a different part of the lake when I finished. What kind of sicko do you take me for? Edit the second. My most upvoted comment is about me having diarrhea on a lake. WTF is wrong with you, Reddit? Also, my wife is insisting that I point out that we'd been married less than a year at that point. That's a keeper. My mom told me her Hitachi wand was a back massager. It disappeared when she found out I used it as one. Edit. I used it as a back massager. It didn't work very well as one. Me and my friend were brushing our teeth on her mom's bathroom and she pulled out her mom's vibrator saying it was a back massager. We proceeded to put it on our chins, making our teeth chatter because we thought it felt cool. I only realized a couple years ago what it was. To be fair, it is a back massager. It just happens to have other uses beyond massaging the back. So my friends and I were playing Never Have I Ever and I brought up that I'd never had a hickey. They decided to change that, so 2 of them pinned me down while 2 others sucked on opposite sides of my neck. No one was really sure how it got to that point, but it happened and hasn't been brought up since. Man. That's when you hit him with the never have I ever been in an orgy or something. I came home from a week at Girl Scout camp at 13 and discovered a tick the size of a thumbtack attached to a very private place. I had to go to my mom and get her to help detach it. When she finished, she told me we didn't ever have to talk about this again if I didn't want to. Her tone made it clear that she certainly didn't want to. I moved into a Gumtree housemate situation. The housemate will be called Scott. I have CF. But never ever bring it up. Since I'm a very lucky healthy person, I move in with Scott without ever mentioning the CF. About 3 months later I have a really bad dehydration issue. I'm completely body locked. Think epic cramps but full body. I'm full on body locked in my bed, in my pants, underwear, with a pile of edibles to my left, a few dirty dishes to my right. On top of that I've been CF farting for hours. CF farts are paint stripping. I panic and finally decide it's serious enough that I need to go to the hospital. So I text Scott, who is just in the common room on the other side of the wall. I tell him something like, hey, I'm having a medical emergency. I can't walk. I can't even get up. Can you come into my room and help? He is shocked. And he thought I was properly healthy. He comes in my horrible fart cavern, sees how much pain I'm in, and how actually ducked I am. He goes into dad mode, ignores my messy room, ignores the stank, says not a word, picks me up, carries me to his van, throws me in the back so I can stay in the same shape, drives me to the hospital, carries me out, gives me to the nurses. 10 or 12 hours later I'm released. I've drip and hydrated. The nurses and him had talked, and he's there to pick me up. We haven't spoken of it again. He knows how much it meant to me. I bought him a bottle of whiskey and a bunch of cured swine. To this day Scott is one of my best friends in this town. I consider him a hero. I could have just locked up and been in pain till I dragged myself to the road and called 999. Love you, Scott. Oh, and he hasn't mentioned it once. He knows it's really embarrassing for me. It was biz as usual the next day. Again. Love you, Scott. Teenage me. Maybe 14. I find out a girl my age wants to suck me off in my neighborhood. We meet in the woods one night and do the deed. A week later she posts it on MySpace. That night I'm outside shooting hoops with my friends and her father walks over to my house and I immediately know what's going on. He asks to speak to my parents and I let him in the house. After the most painful hour of my life he appears out of the front door and leaves. My parents call me in and we discuss it and I cry like a beach from being embarrassed. It's been 15 years and it has never been brought up again. Wait, she posted it on MySpace? How? Like she recorded it? TF lol. She posted it as her status or whatever MySpace called it. She also did the same thing to one of my friends in our neighborhood and he called me crying haha. A friend of mine and I were watching a movie on a site called Rabbit. You can all watch movies and browse the net on the same tab, and somehow we got into an argument over horse dongs being able to kill people. She looked it up online and we watched a nasty video of a man getting plowed by a horse. Little did we know. A notification went around on our friend list saying Brent and Alan are watching man gets raped by horse and dies. Come watch with them. I am still ashamed. I'm sorry to hear about your sister, mate. Thank you for sharing. The time I showed my dong to my father because I thought it was shrinking. I was 17. At school I ate something for lunch that didn't sit well with my stomach. Next thing I know I'm in my classroom hunched over feeling like my stomach is combusting. I go into the bathroom to find that my penis has become short and black. With the skin crusty and dry. It felt like it would rip off if you tugged on it a little. When I got home I was hysterical because I thought I would lose my penis, or that this was permanent. I decided to swallow my embarrassment and show my dad. We did nothing about it and eventually the skin went back to normal and my penis grew back to an almost normal size. However, my penis is not as long as it used to be. Both erect and flaccid. Still to this day I don't know if the food I ate was the cause of it. It was just a slice of pizza. My dad and I have never spoken of that day. Update. I think it's important to note that I'm black and I have light brown skin, so it's possible that my penis wasn't actually black but the contracted skin made it look darker in color and I confused it for turning black. Also, when I showed my dad my penis looked almost normal. The skin wasn't as contracted and wasn't nearly as dry as it was when I looked in my school bathroom. That's why he decided not to take me to the hospital. Didn't have a dad, so one day my penis swelled up and I thought something serious was going on, so I had my mom check it for me. Turns out I had touched it after messing with cleaning supplies. 10/10 never brought it up again and never will. That was a true father-son bonding moment. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.